Hello everybody, it's raining today, which means there's not really good enough lighting for me to make an actual yo-yo video. So instead, I'm going to talk about what constitutes a good 1A yo-yo. And these factors include gap width, response system, shape of the V part, and weight distribution. So obviously the way yo-yos come back to you is by means of friction. The string catches onto the side of the yo-yo and pulls the rest of the string towards it, but obviously the rest of the string can't go towards it since it's attached to your finger, so the yo-yo comes back to your hand, which would obviously mean smaller gap equals more responsive, and a wider gap is less responsive. And since we're talking about 1A yo-yos here, you're probably going to want the yo-yos to be unresponsive. Next is response system. Now, my number one biggest advice for response system is avoid hybrid response systems. They are too responsive and it's too unstable. This is an example. This is a speeder by Yo-Yo Jam, and many of Yo-Yo Jam's earlier yo-yos based their response system off this hybrid idea, and yeah, I personally don't think it's a very good idea. One, this side usually comes with a O-ring, and the O-ring juts out from its recession, which means that you're making the gap on this half of the yo-yo smaller than on this half, which is just a starburst system, which is just these bumpy pieces of plastic from the mold, and which means there's more weight on this side, and because there's less space, there's more friction on this side, which means when the yo-yo is spinning, the string is going to be touching this half of the yo-yo more, which would cause it to just like slightly turn, blah blah blah, while you're playing, and that's not very good. So instead, look for a yo-yo with identical response systems on both halves of the yo-yo. Even it doesn't have to be a good response system. Even if it's double O-rings, at least it's moddable, so you can take out the O-rings and do stuff with it or whatever, as long as it's even. However, I do recommend these silicone K-pads that Kentaro Kimura makes, because they're just really good. It's unresponsive, but you get a nice clean bind when you bring the yo-yo back to you. I've played with double O-rings before, double silicone. They're okay. O-ring is a little responsive. Actually, it's kind of responsive. Double silicone, after you wear out the silicone, it's pretty good, but then you have to, like, over time the silicone's gonna completely wear out and you have to replace that. So these are my favorite response systems. Silicone K-pads. These also wear out, but it's very easy to replace. They're very cheap. So yeah. Oh, and I forgot about Duncan's famous friction sticker response system. Yeah, that's very responsive. Let's not go there. So next is the shape of the V. Alright, so here I have two yo-yos to compare and show you guys shape differences. Here is a Yo-Yo Factory NorthStar, and this is a Yo-Yo Jam Speeder. Both around the same price. So let's start with the speeder. So here, where the shape of the yo-yo begins to change from the axle part is about a centimeter, and which means you have about a centimeter both ways of equal gap width, which means more surface area for the string to catch on, which means more friction during a string play. However, over here, it only comes out about maybe 2 millimeters from the axle of this yo-yo. The major difference is if you come out a centimeter, look how much more space you have for the string rather than just right here. There's hardly anything, and here you have all this space, which means there is less friction while you're playing, which means you get longer spin time, and there's less chance of this yo-yo to bind on you during string play, which is why I prefer this H shape over a rounded shape. And here I have a Yo-Yo Factor DNA, and here we can see some differences. They both have their unique shape. This NorthStar right here has a flat angle coming out from the angle, which means you get more string space, whereas this DNA is rounded. See, the shape of the gaps are rounded, which means you don't get as steep of an angle as the NorthStar, which means this yo-yo will have more string friction than the NorthStar. However, there's people who like both. When the yo-yo gets as good as this, it doesn't make too much of a difference, I guess, but I actually prefer the NorthStar over the DNA simply because of the shape. To me, it feels more stable than the DNA, which is why you won't really know unless you actually play with the yo-yo and try it out for yourself. Everyone has their own preferences. Some may like one shape over the other, but it's all up to you. Just physically, the H shape is more suitable for string play. Finally, we come to weight distribution. Now, as many of you older people might have observed over the years, we've gotten from having yo-yos shaped only like this imperial shape like this fireball, to they've been getting wider and wider as time goes on, and this is because of weight distribution, and yo-yo engineering has just been getting better. Now, why has the gap of string play yo-yos been getting wider, you ask? This is because we observe center of gravity and torque. Now, I don't want to get too much into the physics of this. Just know that the closer the width of the gap is to the diameter of the yo-yo, the more boxy it becomes and the more stable it becomes. And by doing so, more evenly distributes the weight around this box shape of the yo-yo, which is why many yo-yo producers recently have been recessing their outer side and making these rims jet out further, and maybe even putting like weight rings on the inside, on the edge, so they can get a more balanced weight distribution for the yo-yo. Now, I'm not saying the more rim weight you have, the better. Everyone has their own preferences on what they like on their weight of their yo-yo and how it feels when they play with it. But just in general, the more weight on the rim, the easier it is to make the yo-yo stable. So about a year and a half ago, during my quest to buy my first metal yo-yo, I went to yo-yo shop in Akihabara Spin Gear, and I played with almost all of their yo-yos, which is about, I don't know, 100 I guess. And personally, the yo-yo that fits all four of these factors best for me and felt best, had great spin time, was obviously the Positron. I use it in pretty much every one of my videos. It is a great yo-yo. I don't think I'll like any other yo-yo more than this. I've played with a lot of yo-yos at Spin Gear. It took me like 2 hours to sift through all the yo-yos and finally choose one. But I chose this one. When I was narrowing down my choices, I think the other yo-yo that came close to me buying was Yo-Yo Factory's Rockstar. I think it's actually a very similar shape to the NorthStar, which is why I bought the NorthStar, just because it's cheaper. But yeah, Positron, very good yo-yo. I would definitely invest money in this yo-yo. It is very expensive for a yo-yo, but I'm very happy I bought it because now my yo-yo collection is kept down to a minimum. Like, I only have these 3 yo-yos because I don't feel like I need any other yo-yo. Like, this will get everything done for you. So for you novice players or yo-yo shoppers, I hope this was some use to you. Again, I highly recommend the Positron by TurningPoint. If you can find it. It always seems to be sold out recently. Thanks to Marcus Coe, I guess. So, yep. Keep yo-yoing.